As Bitcoin reaches new heights and the news keeps breaking like a wild stallion, it's high time we took a look at some of the biggest whoppers and misconceptions folks have about the world's OG cryptocurrency. We're gonna see if there's any merit to these tall tales and set the record straight. If you think, for example, that Bitcoin's value is based on thin air, or that it's too unstable to be of any use in the real world, then this video is for you. We're gonna separate fact from fiction with a side of humor, without shying away from the real risks. It's time to get to the bottom of the truth about the world's most popular cryptocurrency. Myth number 1. Bitcoin is only used by criminals. Just because the currency is decentralized and anonymous doesn't mean it's only used by people breaking the law. Sure, there have been instances of Bitcoin being used in illegal activities, but that's true of any currency. The truth is, Bitcoin is actually helping to fight against criminal activity by providing a transparent ledger of all transactions, making it easier for law enforcement to track down illegal activity. In fact, more and more legitimate businesses are starting to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. From large companies like Microsoft and AT&T to small businesses like your local coffee shop, more and more merchants are realizing the benefits of Bitcoin, such as lower transaction fees and faster processing times. So, criminals, step aside. The rest of us are trying to buy pizza here. Additionally, Bitcoin also provides a sense of financial freedom for people living under oppressive regimes where the government has control over the traditional financial system. For these people, Bitcoin and other crypto can be a way out of a difficult situation. So, it's clear that the idea that Bitcoin is only used by criminals is a myth. The reality is, Bitcoin is being used by people from all walks of life for a variety of legitimate purposes. Myth number 2. Bitcoin is a bubble and it's going to burst. This is a common myth that has been circulating for years, but the truth is that no one can predict the future of Bitcoin or any other investment. While it's true that the value of Bitcoin can be volatile, it has also shown a steady upward trend over the past decade. It's important to note that Bitcoin's value is determined by supply and demand, just like any other asset. As more and more people adopt Bitcoin and start using it as a form of payment, the demand for it increases, driving the price up. Additionally, with the increasing institutional interest in Bitcoin, the demand is expected to grow further. It's also worth noting that Bitcoin has faced several crashes in the past, but each time it has bounced back and reached new highs. This shows that Bitcoin has a certain level of resilience. So, unless you're a time traveler from the year 2010, there's no way to know for sure what the future holds. It's always wise to do your own research and invest in Bitcoin or any other crypto with caution and only invest what you can afford to lose. The idea that Bitcoin is a bubble and it's going to burst is a myth. Bitcoin has been around for over a decade now. It's a decentralized currency and its value is determined by the market demand and supply. Just like any other currency, the future of Bitcoin is uncertain, but it's worth keeping an eye on it. Myth number 3. You need super high-tech equipment to mine Bitcoin. This used to be true in the early days of Bitcoin when the network was less mature and less competitive. However, these days, you can mine Bitcoin with just your smartphone. Back in the day, Bitcoin mining required specialized hardware called ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits, which were specifically designed to solve the complex mathematical equations that are needed to mine Bitcoin. These ASICs were expensive and required a lot of electricity to run. This made it difficult for the average person to mine Bitcoin. Nowadays, Bitcoin mining is much more accessible. You can use your smartphone or even a simple computer to mine Bitcoin using special software called mobile mining apps or browser-based mining. While it may not yield as much Bitcoin as mining with specialized hardware, it can still be a fun and easy way to get started with mining. It's worth noting that mining Bitcoin is becoming increasingly difficult as the network becomes more mature and more miners join the network. This means that the rewards for mining are becoming smaller, and the cost of electricity is becoming higher. It's important to consider this before getting into mining Bitcoin, but it's still possible. The idea that you need super high-tech equipment to mine Bitcoin is a myth. While it used to be true back in the day, these days you can mine Bitcoin with just your smartphone or a simple computer. However, mining Bitcoin is becoming increasingly difficult as the network becomes more mature and more miners join the network, so it's important to consider the costs and rewards before getting into mining Bitcoin. Myth number 4. Bitcoin is only for tech geeks. This is a common misconception, and it couldn't be further from the truth. While it's true that Bitcoin is a digital currency that operates on a decentralized network, and that it uses complex cryptography to secure its transactions, that doesn't mean that only tech geeks can use it. The reality is, anyone can use Bitcoin. All you need is a little bit of knowledge and a willingness to learn. Setting up a Bitcoin wallet, buying and selling Bitcoin, and making transactions is relatively easy, and there are plenty of tutorials and guides available online to help you get started. It's also worth noting that many companies and platforms are making it even easier for people to use Bitcoin. For example, there are many user-friendly Bitcoin wallets and exchanges that have simplified the process of buying, selling, and managing Bitcoin. In addition, with the increasing adoption of Bitcoin, more merchants are accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment, which makes it even more convenient for everyday people to use. The idea that Bitcoin is only for tech geeks is a myth. Anyone can use Bitcoin with a little bit of knowledge and willingness to learn, and with the increasing adoption of Bitcoin, it's becoming more user-friendly and accessible to everyone. Myth number 5. Bitcoin is not backed by anything. Yeah, because nothing says, "I trust this currency," like a shiny gold coin or a crisp paper bill. Oh wait, Bitcoin doesn't have either of those things. But guess what it does have? A whole bunch of trust and confidence from its users. I mean, think about it. Do you really trust your government or banks to handle all your money? With Bitcoin, there's no need to trust anyone else. Because it operates on a decentralized network, there's no central authority controlling it. It's like being in charge of your own personal bank. And let's not forget the complex mathematical algorithms that keep Bitcoin secure. It's like having a super smart robot as a security guard, who can't be bribed or tricked. Plus, with a finite supply of 21 million coins, it's not like they can just print more Bitcoin to inflate the value like they do with regular money. Bitcoin may not be backed by physical assets, but it's backed by something even better: trust, confidence, and math. So, don't be fooled by this myth. Bitcoin is as good as gold, just without the shiny part. Myth number 6. Bitcoin transactions are not secure. Just because a few bad apples have stolen some Bitcoin in the past, doesn't mean the entire system is insecure. It's like saying all cars are dangerous because some people drive drunk. The truth is, as long as you keep your private keys safe, your transactions will be secure. It's like locking up your car keys before going to bed at night. You're not gonna wake up to find someone else driving your car away. And let's not forget about the blockchain, the public ledger that records all Bitcoin transactions. It's like having a giant notebook that everyone can see, but no one can change. So if someone does try to steal your Bitcoin, the whole world will know about it. It's also worth noting that with the increasing adoption of Bitcoin, more and more companies are developing advanced security measures to protect users' Bitcoin, such as multi-sig wallets, hardware wallets, and more. The idea that Bitcoin transactions are not secure is a myth. As long as you keep your private keys safe, your transactions will be secure, and with the increasing adoption of Bitcoin, more and more companies are developing advanced security measures to protect users' Bitcoin. Just like with anything else, it's important to be smart and take precautions, but that doesn't mean that Bitcoin transactions are inherently insecure. Myth number 7. Bitcoin has no real-world use. Just because you can't buy a latte at your local coffee shop with Bitcoin yet, doesn't mean it has no real-world use. In fact, more and more businesses are starting to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. Plus, it's being used in all sorts of industries, from real estate to online gaming. It's like the Swiss Army knife of currencies, it can do anything. And let's not forget about the people living under oppressive regimes, where the government has control over the traditional financial system. Bitcoin and other crypto can be a way out of a difficult situation for them. The idea that Bitcoin has no real-world use is a myth. More and more businesses are starting to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. It's being used in all sorts of industries, from real estate to online gaming, and it can be a way out for people living under oppressive regimes. So, don't let anyone tell you that Bitcoin has no real-world use. It's as useful as you make it. Well, there you have it, folks. The 7 biggest Bitcoin myths ever. If you learned a thing or two, do consider to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And remember, always do your own research before investing in any cryptocurrency. Peace out.